last light of Black Cedar Road, on the outskirts of Ashwood, Oregon, there was a forgotten road known as Black Cedar Road. It stretched through miles of dense pine forest where sunlight barely touched the ground. The locals had one simple rule. If you ever see a single lantern glowing in the woods after midnight, never follow it. Most people dismissed the warning as an old legend. Daniel Carter, a 31-year-old freelance journalist from Seattle, didn't. He was fascinated by unsolved mysteries and abandoned places. When he heard stories about Black Cedar Road, he packed his camera, flashlight, and audio recorder and drove there one cold October evening. The forest was unnaturally quiet. No insects, no birds, only the crunch of leaves beneath his boots. At exactly 12:17 a.m., Daniel noticed something glowing between the trees. A lantern. Its yellow light flickered gently, hanging from a rusted shepherd's hook. No house, no campsite, no person nearby. He raised his camera and took a photograph. The image looked normal. Then he heard footsteps. Slow, heavy, crunch, crunch. He called out, "Hello?" No answer. The footsteps stopped. Daniel continued deeper into the forest, convinced someone was playing a prank. A few minutes later, he found another lantern, then another. Each one was spaced about 30 feet apart, forming a trail deeper into the woods. Against his better judgment, he followed them. Eventually, the trees opened into a clearing. In the center stood a weathered wooden church that shouldn't have existed. It wasn't on any map. Its windows were broken. The front door was slightly open. Inside, dust covered every pew. Cobwebs hung from the ceiling. Yet dozens of candles burned with fresh flames. At the altar sat an old leather guest book. Curious, Daniel opened it. Hundreds of names filled the pages. Every signature belonged to someone reported missing over the past 50 years. His hands trembled. Then he noticed the final page. Only one name had been written. Daniel Carter. Today's date was beside it. A loud slam echoed through the church. The front door had closed by itself. The candles went out all at once. Darkness swallowed the room. Then, a whisper drifted through the silence. "You came because you were invited." Daniel switched on his flashlight. Empty pews, broken walls, nothing else. Suddenly, the beam landed on muddy footprints leading toward the basement stairs. He didn't want to go down, but another whisper floated upward. "Your story is waiting." His curiosity defeated his fear. He descended the narrow wooden steps. The basement smelled of damp earth. Rows of antique lanterns covered the walls. Every lantern had a small brass tag. Each tag carried a person's name. Every missing person from the guest book had their own lantern. At the end of the room stood one empty hook. A brass tag beneath it read, "Daniel Carter." His flashlight flickered. Behind him, someone inhaled slowly. He turned. A tall figure stood in the darkness. Its face was hidden beneath a hood. Its hands were unnaturally long. Without speaking, it held out an old lantern. Inside the glass, instead of a flame, Daniel saw himself running through the forest, screaming, begging for help. The vision ended as the lantern went dark. The hooded figure whispered, "Every lantern holds the final memory of its owner." Daniel dropped the flashlight and sprinted upstairs. The church door burst open before he reached it. He ran into the forest, ignoring the lanterns lining the trail. Behind him came hundreds of footsteps. Not one person, hundreds, as though every missing soul was chasing him. Branches clawed at his face. His lungs burned. Finally, he reached his truck. The engine started instantly. He sped away without looking back. When daylight arrived, Daniel drove straight to the sheriff's office. He told them everything. The deputies searched Black Cedar Road. They found no church, no lanterns, no clearing. Only untouched forest. Daniel tried to convince himself it had been exhaustion, until he reviewed the footage from his camera. Most of the recording was black, but in the final 10 seconds, the camera had captured Daniel running toward his truck. Just behind him, more than 50 pale figures walked silently through the trees. Each carried a glowing lantern. The video ended with one final frame, a close-up of Daniel's face. Standing directly behind him was the hooded figure. Smiling, Daniel disappeared 3 nights later. His truck was found abandoned beside Black Cedar Road. The driver's door was open, his camera rested on the seat. Inside was one final photograph, a lonely lantern hanging in the darkness. Beneath it, a new brass tag. Daniel Carter. Some travelers still report seeing lanterns deep in those woods. They say the lights seem to invite them closer. And if you ever count them carefully, there's always one empty hook, waiting for the next